Hi, everyone, and welcome to our September Masterclass. I'm Jo Henderson, a member of the marketing team at Dux-Soup, and I'm joined today by Giles Garnett, who's hiding away in the background somewhere, and our special guest, Benjamin Pace. Before I properly introduce Ben, let me just cover off a few of the less exciting bits. On the top right of your screens, you should see a content section, and this is where you'll find most of the content that we refer to today. You'll also spot there's a green bar at the bottom of your screen, and this is where you can maximize and minimize the other windows that you can see dotted around your screen. The whole session is being recorded and will be available on demand later today, and you will be notified when it's available via email. I'll be monitoring your questions, so do stick around until the end when I will fire all of them at Ben, well, the ones that I couldn't answer anyway. So now on to Ben. Benjamin Price founded Client Matchmaking alongside his wife, Juliana, and together they've been running LinkedIn campaigns for over a decade. Ben is a massive fan of Dux-Soup and recently shared his success story with us in an article, which is available on our website called Closed a 90K Deal in Under a Month. And you'll see that's also in your content screen. When I asked Ben in our preparation meetings whether he tried any other automation tools, he said simply, I have, but Dux is just on another level. So obviously I had to have him come and join us on a webinar and share his user journey with us, which is what he's about to do. So he's going to cover off his success story a little bit and his strategies for driving growth for his clients. So Ben, welcome, and over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time today. Just a little bit of who I am. Appreciate the introduction. My name is Ben Pace. I am the president of Client Matchmaking. I really specialize overall, in LinkedIn marketing and growth strategy. Actually started out personally as a solo consultant, and I guess over time I've been able to grow my business into a multi-million-dollar agency. Along the way, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of business owners across different industries, add multiple 6 and 7 figures to their business, just using the LinkedIn strategy we're going to talk about today. That's really what I'll be sharing with you today is exactly how we did that, how we do that. And so you can kind of see those strategies yourself and how you might be able to apply them to your business as well. And we'll jump right in. I think that LinkedIn really is the #1 B2B prospecting platform, and it just continues to outperform all of the other B2B prospecting channels, which I've totally used. You're able to go direct to prospect with your messaging. You don't have to like sit around, wait for referrals or do networking. You're really kind of not waiting on inbound leads. You get to take control. You get to reach out immediately and start seeing an ROI with the investment of time and money much faster. And I use cold emails, but unlike cold emails where, you've got to warm up your domains, prep your inboxes, hope your message lands in the inbox, LinkedIn allows you to start conversations right away. You can literally connect with someone, be in a conversation the same exact day. And third, relationship building, I believe, is really supercharged on LinkedIn. A lot of people say, why do you say that? Because when a prospect sees your profile, they're not just reading a message that you sent them. They see your professional resume, that your photo, trustworthy, your track record. It creates immediate credibility, makes it so much easier to build trust and really move the conversation forward. And, I would say one of the biggest advantages of using LinkedIn is the way you can kind of set up your targeting and outreach. You're not just like blasting messages out into the void. It's like extremely specific, with who you want to connect with. So, for example, on the slide, I hope you guys can see it, but I'm going to describe what's on here. It's using the search filters on LinkedIn to target the appropriate geographies, industries, company sizes, even down to the exact job title of the decision makers that you want to reach. So, for example, like if you want to work with accounting firms, let's say in California, and you want them to have an employee count of between 1 and 10 employees, you can really dial that in using this search functionality. The level of targeting, I think, is what makes LinkedIn prospecting so powerful. You're spending, your time and energy only on the people who actually match your ICP, your ideal client profile, which means just higher quality conversations and just a much better return on your investment. Now, I don't want to just talk to you about the strategy. I want to kind of show you real people that I've helped who just put the system that we've created into practice and then the results that they've seen. Um, Stephanie Seidel is just, for example, she was working a 9 to 5 job. And 2 weeks after she started working with us, she shows up on a live Q&A and she's in her backyard, not at the office. She completely replaced her 9 to 5 income. In the very first 6 months of working with us, she went from 0 to 150,000 in annual revenue just using our LinkedIn outreach system. I love Jeff. He's a great example of how this works. Every single month, Jeff now brings in consistent 5 figures in new revenue through the exact same strategy. Jeff Chambers quit his job, really was unhappy there, started his own practice, took a big risk. And in the first year, he was able to add 35 new clients just using our outreach system. And I feel like that's kind of the business launch that most people dream of. And all you have to do is put this into play. Lastly, Judy DeFeo, she's super successful even before she started working with us. But using our strategy, she was able to take her existing firm, already doing 650K, all the way to 1.3 million. What's even more impressive is that 45% of her annual new revenue comes directly from the leads and opportunities that we generate for her through LinkedIn. So, whether you're just starting out, you're looking to replace your income, or you're already established, you want to scale to 7 figures and beyond, this system totally works. It's predictable, repeatable. It's just built to fit right within your business. Now, I want to go over like what I like to call just the client matchmaking outreach formula. It's just designed to trigger instant replies and success. Okay, the secret is pretty simple, I feel. It's irresistible copy. Now, when I say irresistible copy, it doesn't mean that like everyone that you reach out to is going to be like, yes, I'm interested. But if your copy is irresistible, when you reach out to someone who happens to need your help, they can't help but to respond and say, I'm interested. And so what we do, just so you guys can see an example, I put one up here on the board. We want to keep it, short and to the point. We ask questions that make it really easy for someone to say yes or no. That way, we're not creating friction. We create conversations. And so, for example, the message here was written for one of our accounting clients who wants to reach out to business owners who may need help with their finances. Okay. So notice how this message starts with a simple question. When you look at your financials each month, do they actually give you clarity or just cause more stress? Right away, that touches a common pain point because most business owners feel the stress. So this message reassures them that they're just not alone. A lot of business owners I talk to are great at running their day to day, but feel a little in the dark when it comes to what the numbers are really saying. And finally, it ends with a no pressure call to action. I'm happy to share some ideas that might help. No pressure, just a quick convo if helpful. The combination, right? Pain point, empathy, and low barrier like invitation, it's exactly what sparks fast responses and gets our clients into real conversations. Now, here's the campaign structure and cadence that we use that really consistently converts. It's not random. Matt's here. He's one of my tech support guys. He's a master at using Dux-Soup and LinkedIn. He and I have created this cadence that is just tested across thousands of conversations, so it really works. It starts as soon as someone accepts your connection request. Within minutes, we send a qualifying question, just like I showed you, something simple that opens the door and lets us know if they're a good fit. A couple hours later, we follow up with an endorsement. This builds goodwill, shows them, we're here to add value, not just sell them something. And 3 days later, we're going to send them what I like to call a pitch message. It's really a clear invitation to talk and really speaks clearly about the services that we offer and the benefits of our help. If they haven't responded 5 days after that, we send them a follow-up message. And finally, 7 days after that, a final nudge. Just a polite reminder to close the loop. Now, within 15 days, it is a high probability that you're going to get a lot of responses and a lot of interest. Just make sure you're touching these people as often as we're posting here. Now, this is the key. you're going to get leads from this. If you get an interested lead, my team operates on a 4 to 24-hour response time. The faster you respond, the faster you win. It is far more likely for you to earn a client as a paying client if you respond to their message within 12 hours, as soon as possible. That's why our clients consistently see results, because this structure keeps conversations flowing and our response time keeps the momentum high. Now, one of the biggest keys to LinkedIn success, and I would say marketing overall, is just consistency. So when you prospect daily, you create a predictable, pipeline growth. The math really does prove it. So we're seeing on average for every 200 messages that we send, we're getting between 2 and 4 genuinely interested responses from perfect fit prospects. And so when you layer this with consistency across multiple campaign types, I feel like the results really compound in a good way. That's why at Client Matchmaking, we keep well over 200 LinkedIn profiles running at scale for all of our clients. We use the Dux-Soup cloud environment that creates like a constant flow of opportunities without seeing any burnout on any single channel. And I'm just going to break down, because it's kind of hard to see probably on this or what it means. I'm just going to break down the campaigns that we run and who we go after for them. First, the connection campaigns. What we do is we typically target second degree connections that match our ICP, and occasionally third degree if our client has like a really small network, like less than 200 connections. Second, we have follow-up messages in all of our campaigns, whether that be a connection campaign, a message campaign, an in-mail campaign. We always have follow-up messages that nurture interest in a professional way. They're not spammy, but allowing busy business owners, like I mentioned earlier, that are on LinkedIn a little less, it gives them a chance to respond if they happen to need our products or services. The next thing we do is, we always launch in-mail campaigns. I feel like in-mail campaigns are a really powerful way to extend your reach beyond your existing connections, meaning I target typically only third-degree connections for this, because it's such a great way to, outside of your first-degree connections, get a ton of extra messages out every single week, right? More activity consistently equals more results. And last but not least, and I think, one of the most important things is messaging your first-degree connections. Obviously people that you have been connected with, that you haven't engaged for a long time, but also people that you haven't engaged in ever. And so, these messages are a really powerful way to get, in the inbox right away and get leads right away. So you're getting fast responses and leads. Extra activities that we do consistently, just to get the most out of your campaigns, is profile visits and endorsements. We'll do this on top of everything else. What we've noticed is this sparks actually inbound interest, because what happens when you visit a profile or give an endorsement, they're notified by LinkedIn when you engage their profile. And so it gives you extra credibility, extra visibility, and oftentimes people will reach out to you if they happen to need your services, because on your page, they already know what you do. Now, one of the biggest reasons this system works for my business, and businesses of all sizes, to be honest, but we've built this system to scale seamlessly. And the way we do that is using the right tools to automate and integrate everything like behind the scenes. So for example, we use Slack for our internal communication, but also our client communication. So all the conversations are easy to track. We can respond in real time and share the leads directly with our clients in real time. It's pretty cool. We use Apollo for data verification. So you'll notice that even when you're connected to someone on LinkedIn and they say, hey, I'm interested, not every LinkedIn profile has all the contact info available. So we just use Apollo to make sure that we have the accurate phone numbers and emails for prospects who raise their hands and say, I'm interested. We have a CRM that we use. It doesn't matter which CRM you use or if you use a CRM, but we use Close. Close is awesome because it helps us just track everything, allows for ease of follow-up, and we can pretty easily and seamlessly move them through a sales pipeline for us and for our clients. And we really tie this all together with Zapier and Dux-Soup. These two things really automate the flow of information. That way, like when a lead comes in, Their data is instantly found by Apollo. This is all through automation. It's pretty cool. It's captured, put in our CRM, and then shared directly with our clients without having to do any manual data entry. There's no bottlenecks. It's just instantly, visibly, and faster conversations and conversions for our clients. I think the result is really that, no matter what size business you're in, whether you're, a solo consultant or running a large firm, the system is just going to save you time. It makes it easy to scale also without dropping the ball, because you never want to miss a beat, especially if you're serving your clients. Now, you don't need, on this slide, you do not need any of this to be successful in using Dux-Soup or LinkedIn to market yourself. However, if you're looking to scale, these tools just make it a lot easier and are helpful in doing so. Now, I just want to kind of put this all together before I take questions. What we've really been talking about here is how automation combined with the right strategy just delivers unmatched ROI when it compared to any other marketing methods. Now, that's exactly why I recommend and honestly rely on Dux-Soup every single day. It powers client matchmaking LinkedIn campaigns, all of them. It allows me to run at scale. I tried doing this manually. I had 10 rigs. It makes it easy using Dux-Soup. And they really power this thing to be consistent and so that I never miss an opportunity. The end result is just a repeatable, proven system, generates high quality leads for me and my clients every single week. This is not just once in a while, it's not hit or miss, but consistently. Because the engine with Dux-Soup never stops running. And that's kind of it. I wanted to see if anyone has any questions.
I love that. And that's kind of it. Thank you, Ben. That was awesome. Yeah, we do have some questions. So excuse the pronunciation. Ginter or Ginter, perhaps, said, asked, so the connection request should be made from a qualifying question. So, I mean, you can either go in without a question at all or send a connection request that's blank. So how would you kind of go about finding that qualifying question?
This is a good question. So if it's just a message to a first degree, not a connection request, that would be the first message would be the qualifying question that I posted. However, with connection requests, we do ask an even more simple question. Like, for instance, if you're a marketing agency that's working with service providers, you would ask a simple question. Are you accepting new clients? ? In your connection request. Now, I want to be very clear, this is tested. So it's cool, like Dux-Soup tracks, how many people you're inviting and how many people have actually accepted your connection request. So if your question is proving to give a low acceptance rate in terms of the percentage of people that you invite to acceptance, you want to just delete that message and go with a no message invite. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Thank you. I hope that helped. Khaled has asked, are endorsements actually still supported by LinkedIn?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Now, you did kind of touch on this already, but Yosef has asked or said, I'm not familiar with Apollo, but that's the second time I've heard it mentioned today at work. Why do you feel it's necessary to use Apollo with Dux-Soup?
So not necessary, I want to be clear. You can do the manual labor and go on Google. In fact, Apollo just pulls data like a lot of the data providers from Bombara. I like Apollo just because it's user-friendly and it integrates well with all my tools. So I'm willing to pay for that. Not necessary, but it's just nice because if you have that LinkedIn link, it's a very high probability that Apollo is going to be able to find the information that I want, which is phone numbers and emails.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So Yosef is not needed. It's just a nice to have. I guess it depends on the size of your business and how you're looking to scale. Jim has said he can't get the QR code to work. Is there another way to schedule a call?
Yeah, I'll actually post the link right now. I tested it. It worked for me, but I'd be happy to post it here in just a moment.
Yeah, fabulous. If not, you can send it to me and I'll include it on our post-session emails if you like, if that would be easier. But yeah, it worked for me as well, actually. I also tested it. So Jim, I'm sure we'll be able to get that to you. Jay has asked, how does your strategy change when dealing with first degree connections? If you want to reach out to sell them a product or a service?
So it's funny. I use the same exact messaging unless it doesn't work. So I like to see at least a 20% response rate, but I use the same messaging in the follow up to the connection campaign as I do in the first degree message campaign. Same exact messaging, with the exception of if I'm hitting contacts again. So if I'm hitting contacts that I've either already reached out to or are very, very aged, then I will make a more personalized message. Hey, I know when I reached out before, I didn't get a response, or, you weren't ready at the time, but I just wanted to check in because this time of year, people typically need XYZ. And at that point would be the only time I would change the message. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Lucas has asked, well, this is for me actually, will the recording be available? Yes, it will. You'll be sent the recording later today, Lucas, if not tomorrow. But yeah, it'll be available on demand. So just keep a lookout for our email. Alexandru has asked, how much time does it take? So I guess what we're looking at here is, it may have, how much time does it save would perhaps be a better question here, because I guess it depends on how many people you're targeting and how often you run it. So you're obviously using Dux because you found it to be massively helpful in terms of your time efficiency.
Sure. So in terms of running this process, it takes very minimal time. It also depends on probably which Dux-Soup product you're using. It doesn't take me longer than 15 minutes a day to review the messages and run these campaigns. And I'm running hundreds of profiles. So it's really easy with a small team to do just that. 15 minutes a day, no more than that. You can really build a successful business yourself and market yourself on LinkedIn.
Awesome. That's, yeah, good. Someone else asking for the slides. Yes, you can watch it on demand later. Sebastian has said, when you say the Dux-Soup engine keeps running, can this be done while my laptop is closed as long as I have set the schedule? Or do I need to have my laptop, LinkedIn and Dux-Soup open all the time? I can answer that one for you, Sebastian, actually. That depends on which plan you're on. So if you're using Turbo or Pro, when you close your laptop, your activities will pause. If you are using a cloud license, then they will continue. So the beauty of using cloud is you can go on holiday, you can go to sleep, and you can set the schedule up and it will just carry on regardless. So that really depends on which plan you are using. John has asked, how do you set up a third degree campaign for InMail only? I like this one. It's a good question.
Nice. I mean, is it okay if I respond?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay. This is one of the cooler parts of Dux-Soup, because technically speaking, if you're on an upgraded version of LinkedIn, like Sales Navigator, for instance, you get like a certain amount of InMail credits. Doesn't matter if they're on premium or not. But Dux-Soup has a cool way of noticing when people are on premium subscriptions, which means you get pretty unlimited free credits to message these people. It's not unlimited. It's like 800 a month, but that's a lot of extra messages that you get just by using Dux-Soup. So Dux-Soup has a button where you click, it's called Open InMail Only. And then when you do your scan on queuing up your messages, it's only going to it's going to skip everyone except the people that you can message for free. So it is a very powerful way to get a lot of extra messages out without having to, wait for connections to accept or use InMail credits.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let me remove that one. Rob has
It's almost
asked,
double, by the way. Sorry. It's almost double the conversions. Seriously, just with InMails alone.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
It's definitely worth it then.
Exactly.
Rob has asked, how often have you been put into LinkedIn jail using automated outreach?
So honestly, for new LinkedIn profiles, it's pretty regular and common. It's not jail per se like it used to be, but it's more of like a verification process. It is avoided pretty well if you have a low, two things. One, you have a low connection count. Don't invite more than 10 people a day. Otherwise, for sure, you're going to jail, even if you don't have any automation software. It's just restricted. They'll do a temporary restriction. They'll warn you. They'll ban you. Whatever. Second thing, if you just verify yourself, like literally just verify yourself right away, you're going to avoid a lot of problems. If you wait until they restrict you, it's just going to happen a lot more often, almost every time. So verifying yourself, and then again, if you're low connection count, like 200, 300 or less, don't invite more than 10 people a day, especially for the first 5 or 6 weeks of doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from our perspective, we set up the plans such that they are within LinkedIn's limits, and we encourage you to, we say you use mimic human behavior in the activities that you're doing, and how often and how regular, and you put into the schedule pauses and things like that, because you would do that naturally if you were sat in front of your laptop. Rob, I'm just going to send you a link to our LinkedIn limits and how to stay safe on LinkedIn. I think that the key is to mimic human behavior and what you're doing. But the article there that I've shared with you will give you all the insights into that. And as you say, we've got, we can verify accounts and all sorts of things now. So that really isn't something that you should be concerned about. Brady has asked, is there a proven word track intro for attorneys or for those in the medical field? I certainly would say no to that. I think it depends what you're selling, what your service is. I don't know about you, Ben, whether you've got any experience in this field.
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on your specialty, like what industries do you work in, and then what your service offering or product is. There is no template or one blanket message that works all the time. In fact, I would say that constant positive change, like reviewing how the messages are working every single month, is what makes us most successful. So, when something isn't working, that's okay. We just fix it. The marketers that fall behind, the people building their businesses that fall behind, they're not, changing up what's not working. They just assume that everything works first time, every time. And that's honestly a lie. Also, with the use of AI, it's pretty easy to create new messages for yourself. I would definitely consider, using ChatGPT or Gemini to try to come up with some really cool stuff, some sales copy for yourself. I personally write a unique message campaign for every single client that I take on. I've got hundreds of clients. So I personally do that because I find it important to make unique copy specific to each of my clients who offer a very specific set of services or sell a certain set of products, and they're focused on a certain type of individual. So there's no templates here. It really is personalized copy that is most successful. That's how it becomes irresistible.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in terms of, it depends on your industry sector and the kind of people that you're trying to target. They will want to read different kinds of messaging. So a CEO is going to want to see information very differently to someone who's, much lower down the chain and perhaps more interested in a bit of chat. A CEO is going to want to have something that's, straight to the point potentially. But, I think it's a case, Brady, of try it and see. Test it out and see what works. What else do we have? We've got Natalia. Has asked again about sending connection requests without messages and them being blank. Joaquim has asked.
I typically Sorry. No, well, I typically like to start with a simple question. But again, if the connection acceptance rate is lower than 20%, delete the question and just send it blank and send it. You'll probably see an increase in your connection rate acceptance.
Okay. And what would you consider is a good acceptance rate for your first connection request?
Good. 20% or more.
Yeah, that's what we would say too. There's Natalia, there's Joaquim. Sorry, these messages are coming in thick and fast here. Susanna, if the final message nudge, oh, hang on, sorry. Should the final message that you send, so in fact, I'm going to add to this as well, because there are 12 stages in a Dux-Soup campaign, or there can be. I think in your campaign flow, you've shown maybe six stages to your flow, I think. Susanna has asked, in your final message, would you just kind of push over a thank you message, or would you actually try and put some kind of call to action in there?
On the final one, I always include like a booking link or something.
Okay.
I don't like typically doing more than 15 days of messages, but honestly, if you have a low connection count, I would definitely go for it. Because you want to get as much activity out there as you possibly can. You want to give people a chance to respond. The only reason I don't do it is I'm constantly growing these profiles, and they grow pretty fast after 500 connections. Yeah. So I will eventually, within the next 6 months, reach out to them again. So that's why I only do 15 days worth of messages. But again, lower connection counts, you want to get the biggest bang for your buck. Sure, do extra messages. But in the final message, or the final like 2 or 3 messages, I will include a booking link and or a call to action. Say, book with me, buy from me, every time. Final ditch effort.
Ginter has asked, have you ever tried pipe drive integrations with Dux-Soup?
Yeah, so good question. I've tried pipe drive, for sure. It is not bad, but it's not my favorite personally. Listen, you could use Google Sheets and it'll work for you guys. But when you're trying to scale, a CRM is really helpful. Pipedrive is great because it has a lot of good integrations. I'm not against it. It's just not my number one favorite in comparison to close.com. So that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Nick has asked, how do you treat ignored connection requests? Do you cancel them and try again? And if so, how do you manage that at scale?
Good question. No, we don't typically delete them. However, in the past, for very long-term relationships, like I have some clients who've been with me for 5 or 6 years, yes, we do reduce them because it decreases the chance that they'll get looked at or banned or flagged. But we're talking like thousands and thousands of connections that are outstanding. So until you're at that point, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay. Charlie has asked, do you in particular specialize in any industries?
One more time.
Ben, sorry. Do you specialize in any particular industries?
Yeah. Well, so I work with anyone that owns a business and does B2B or B2C services or products. So I can really kind of help anyone. I would say that, a few hundred of my clients have been accounting firms or financial services types. So insurance agents, all types of professional services. I've fallen into that niche, but truthfully, I can help anyone.
Randy has asked, how many connection invites can you send per day? I've actually got link to a couple of articles that I can send you, Randy, that will help with that, because it depends which plan you're on. And what have we got next? Well, this is a big long one from Erica. Hang on, let me just have a quick read. Okay, so Erica's asked, if we've run LinkedIn automation campaigns in the past and have a pretty large network of connections, but now we want to go after existing connections with a different product or a different offering, how would you recommend filtering and setting up the funnel? And
One more time. So sorry. One more time.
That's okay. Erica has asked if we run a LinkedIn, if they've run a LinkedIn campaign for a lot of their connections and then they change their product or service, how would you go about filtering to target existing connections with a new campaign without causing confusion and overlap?
Sure. Without asking like a follow-up question, I can say that I'll just assume something that you're selling to a different audience, meaning you won't be messaging the same people. However, if you are messaging the same people for a different service or product, you just exclude messaged. So there's an activity part. Let me see. Let me just pull it up on my LinkedIn. Can I share my screen really quick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So in the lead filters, you can see here people you've interacted with, and you can exclude already messaged. So if you have a new service and you're kind of reaching out to the same pool of people, you just exclude people you already messaged, and so they won't see the counter offer or the weird difference. Does that make sense? Now,
Yeah.
in terms of targeting, if it's a different audience, obviously just use your filters to target that different audience. Just make sure you do all of your searches. So your second degree search, your first degree search for messages, second degree for connections, third degree for in-mails. I hope this helps.
And is there a way of doing this because I think what Erica was initially asking was if you are targeting the same people but with a different campaign, do you have any recommendations on how you would do that?
Honestly, I wouldn't care. I would just hit them again. But that's just my preference. So that's just me being honest too. However, if you did want to just be candid with people and say, hey, I changed my business model. I changed my business. I changed my job. And I wanted to reach out again because I'm offering something really new and cool that I think you might benefit from. I know we didn't talk last time, but I think this might actually be worth talking about. And so if you've prefaced it with that, I think it'll be a much nicer way than my way, of really kind of reaching out to these people again.
Kerry has asked, when you are targeting with campaign, do you talk about your low cost entry offer, or would you go for your more signature, more expensive offer?
Okay, so I don't talk about price, but if you have two offers, it really depends. I'd have to hear about the two different offers, because if your low cost offer is equally or more enticing, I should say, then go with that for sure. Definitely get them to bite. But if it's equally as enticing, it's cool. LinkedIn is cool because they see who you are. It's completely organic. It's direct to prospect. There's no better leads that you can get. So personally, I go for the highest value offer that I'm going after. So exactly what I want them to buy, not my low cost leader. And the reason why is, well, I've got limited activity I can do on LinkedIn. And then I know if they do respond in kind, it's a high quality lead. And so the way I'm targeting it is I know they can afford me. I know it's someone that wants to work with me. So if they respond, they're going to be a fit for my high value offer. And so I typically go with that personally. But again, if you're trying to entice them and get more leads in terms of volume, it depends on your offer. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we've got a few people asking quite specific questions, which I'm just going to kind of brush over myself. So Dennis has asked about what would a good connection request be for a consulting firm? Where do posts to the general public fit into this method? There's a few kind of, what else have we got? I'm sure I've just read a few others that are quite varied. People again asking for the slides, how many follow-ups in a campaign. What I would say for those of you is have a look back through the on-demand versions, you can see the slide material that Ben has gone through. So for those follow-ups, I mean, Dux-Soup allows you to have up to 12 steps in a campaign, but it really depends on your approach. And I mean, Ben's using 6, I think, aren't you? Do you ever vary that?
Rarely. I go +1, -1 sometimes, depending on the client's preference and their copy, but I don't deviate too far.
Okay. Is there a way to review performance of individual messages?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Matt, do you know the answer to this question?
Sorry, come again?
Yeah, do you know the answer to this question? Sorry.
Is there a way to review performance of individual messages?
Like in the sequence, each message by itself.
The rates for each message? No. We look at the response
Just the overall
rate
campaign
for overall campaigns. And then connection rate is a separate one for all the connection invites. So
if you are looking to test this, the way you would do that is you would move people through campaigns. So you would create, let's say you had 4 messages that you sent in sequence. Instead, you put 1 message in the first one, okay? And then you can track the results of that. And as they go through it and don't respond, you move them to the second campaign, which happens to be the second message. That would be the workaround in which you could track the success of each campaign. Sorry, each message in each campaign.
So I think if you look in the Dux Dash and look at the funnel flow, then you can see the flow of your campaign and how successful overall it's being. Let me send that link to that article. That was to Ree. We've got a few more questions about Apollo in different regions. I think we'll come away from those because that's not necessarily Ben's area of expertise. I think you'll have to go and have a play with some of those integrations if you want to learn more about them. So Natalia's asked, you say that you run hundreds of personal accounts for your clients. What type of Dux-Soup account lets you send hundreds of new connection requests?
So we use Dux. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on, carry on.
Okay, so we use Dux-Soup Cloud. This really allows us to switch between all of our clients' profiles very easily and manage them all in one place. To answer your question about hundreds of invitations, the limitations are kind of set by LinkedIn, not by Dux-Soup, not by me. So I would say that for smaller LinkedIn profiles, the maximum is 20 per day, 5 days a week, so 100 a week. For larger profiles, when you get over thousands, you can send more than that, okay? So sometimes we can send up to 800, 1,000 connections in any given month for our larger LinkedIn profiles. But past that, you want to leverage, instead of connections, you want to leverage messages like in-mails, messages to first degree, regurgitating interests, so sending messages to age leads and connections you never reach out to in first degree connections. And that's how you get the most out of it.
So to answer a few questions that have come in as well around agency and cloud. So you can use the cloud plan regardless of whether you are an individual, a team, or an agency. So if you go onto our pricing pages, you will be able to then choose whether you want something for individuals, for teams, or agencies, and then you'll be able to look at the plans that are available. So you can use cloud as an individual, you can use cloud as a team, and you can use cloud as an agency. So that plan is available to everybody. We've been asked, how does Ben use the tagging feature? Do you use the tagging feature? This is from Mike.
So I used to. before I had an army of people working for me. It was really helpful in terms of organizing my outreach. And I was also on I wasn't on Dux-Soup where everything was kind of automated. So I had to tag things in order to not overlap or blacklist, things like that. So I would say when I was using the tagging feature, it was really powerful specifically when it came to blacklisting, so that I never ever messaged someone that my client didn't want me to message. Using tagging like that also allows for you to send multiple messages in the sequence, things like that, where they don't get messaged the same message twice. And so that's how I used to use tagging. But now with the automation in Dux-Soup Cloud, the hands-off, automation with Dux-Soup Cloud, it's really made my life a lot easier, along with Matt and the small army he manages. So,
sorry, I'm just multitasking here. Right, there's that one responded to. Gosh, we still have so many questions coming, and this is really great. I just can't get through them all quickly enough. Let's see, that one's been answered. Can you give, I think you did show this actually, an example of a message that doesn't look spammy as a initial? I think that was on your slide, wasn't it?
Yeah, right here.
Awesome, thank you. Need that on the screen.
I could also show the full cadence for this if you would like.
Yeah, that would be good, because a couple of people have asked for that again as well. And again, you can see this again tomorrow on demand.
Here's a really good message. I'll share my screen, and I'll kind of scroll through it slowly so people can see. This is a client of mine who offers accounting services. And you can see like simple question, right? And then we expand on the pain point. Talk about the specific services that they offer, so it's more of a pitch. Personalize it to the company that they're reaching out to. Then we build credibility with a story. So a testimony almost. Stories speak much louder than words, and pitches and sales, and even marketing. The final thoughtful follow-up, kind of last-ditch effort right here. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Sorry. Rajesh has asked, what should be the outreach campaign strategy if we have 3 solution streams that are targeted to the same ICP? Should that all be one campaign combining all 3, or 3 separate campaigns?
It's cool. It's cool that you have that, because we have multiple offers as well to the same avatar or ICP. And so what we do is, well, one of 2 things. One, the first one, we always try to, in sequence, hit them with each of the offers to see what sticks. Our most compelling or most purchased offer would go in the front end of the sequence, meaning the first or the second message. And then I would follow up each message with your additional offer and sexy copy. Okay. And so eventually you'll see like which offer sticks to which person. Now, if that is less successful than you would like, I would really figure out a way to speak to the problems that your multiple offers are solving. Hopefully there's some commonalities in those offers because it's the same ICP. And then you make your sequence all about solving those problems. And then when they hop on a consultation or reach out to you, then you can identify through consultation the way, or the way you'll solve the problem. So which offer are you going to to offer them, right? And so that's the way I approach it. Again, first you try lumping all of your offers into a sequence. So one message, one offer. If that doesn't work, you get a low response rate. You then want to bundle in all of your messages into an overarching offer, right? That has commonality between all your offers and the problems they solve. And then hopefully that sequence will do a lot better. When someone responds with the second option, then you use consultation or questionnaire or something to uncover which offer will be best suited for them.
Okay, thank you. Looking for some good questions. This one's an interesting one. Susanna has said, I've been told that the more engagement I have on LinkedIn, like posting and scrolling, the more Dux-Soup will automate. Is this correct? Susanna, Dux-Soup will only automate what you tell it to automate. So the more activity you do on LinkedIn, the more the LinkedIn algorithm will learn what's put in your feed and what you're liking and what you're engaging with. But that isn't Dux-Soup, that's LinkedIn. So in order for Dux-Soup to automate things, you need to give it that request. So you're the one that chooses how Dux-Soup runs. So in answer to your question, it's LinkedIn that will respond to your posts when you're scrolling, not Dux-Soup. Good question, though. I like it. Manny has asked, do you link Dux-Soup to multiple profiles per account, or is it one profile per account?
One more time.
I think actually this is a different question. So Manny, in answer to your question, I think you've got multiple options. If you're an individual, you would have a single user for each account. If you're on a team, then a team license can manage multiple accounts across the team. So it depends which license you're looking for in order to manage that. Ryan has asked, how do you ensure that a message lands in an actual inbox rather than ending up in spam? Ben, that might be a good one for you.
Can you ask it again?
How do you ensure that your message lands in their focused inbox rather than their junk mail?
Oh, okay. So using high quality messages, and Dux-Soup has cool merge tags, meaning you can insert variables that are pulled directly from their client profile, like first name, like company name, like title. If you do things like that personalize your messages towards your prospects, it's a lot less likely that you will fall into spam. Lastly, don't spam people. Make sure your copy is genuine and unique. Make sure that it is tailored specifically to the person you're reaching out to, because if you're reaching out to the wrong person with a message that was intended for someone else, you will be marked as spam. And so those are the easy ways. Also, just lower the volume. Don't message more than 200 people in a day. Really kind of just lower the volume and do it over time. That's what's going to create the most results and make sure that you don't end up in anyone's spam box.
Mm-hmm. See what we just had in. Juino has said, are you using Sales Navigator, firstly?
Oh, on every single client profile, hundreds of clients all have Sales Navigator required. But for my clients, required, sorry.
And he or she has said, what do you think about the quality of the lists provided by Sales Navigator? How do you manage your sales now to keep them reliable?
Yeah, it's the only reason Sales Navigator is required. Well, one of the main reasons why Sales Navigator is required is because it's really the only way to target the variables that I showed you. Without Sales Navigator, I couldn't target title or industry or geography like I do. In Sales Navigator, I can even do the zip code if you're in the US, or location, with a certain radius anywhere in the world. And so it's a really nice way to just get the right people. So targeting is one of the biggest reasons why Sales Navigator is required for my clients, so that I can make sure that every activity I do is towards the right person, about 98% of the time.
Okay. Can you remind us about the InMail? I can't remember if you had a slide about InMail actually, but I do have, let me find it. I've got a good article on InMail. Which is for Natalia. If anyone else wants it, let me know. She says, trying to find it. Here we go. I've got a couple of articles that might help with InMail. But if you go onto our blog pages or onto our help center pages and type in InMail, it will come up with those articles for you. That can be quite helpful. Neil has asked whether you ever use voice notes.
That's a good question. No, I don't. We have done video messages before, and they have been very, very successful. But voice messages would probably be equally as successful. We more so use voice messages on Instagram and Facebook. But I could imagine how successful they would be on LinkedIn. Very personalized, even if they're the same one you send to all people. It's not a bad idea. Matt, we're going to have to implement it.
We had another guest, actually, James Caldecott. And again, if you go onto our blog pages and type in James, I think his article will come up. But he did use voice notes, and he had quite a cool way of doing that and sending those via to his LinkedIn prospects. So definitely have a look at that. Gosh, there's still so many. What I'll have to do, I think, guys, is go through some of these after the event. A lot of them aren't necessarily related to Ben's content. So I'll try and get through those after the event, but I'm very conscious we've only got a couple of minutes left. So before I start losing people, I'm going to just remind everyone, or not even remind, just let everybody know about our upcoming webinar, which is how to harness LinkedIn data to fuel unstoppable growth. And this is going to be on October the 23rd. It'll be at the same time as we've had the session today. And it's going to be focusing on things like what data Dux-Soup can gather from LinkedIn, what platforms you can put that data into, the kind of things you might want to use that data for, and how each of our Dux-Soup plans supports it. We'll also be having a look at the new contact pages that are available in Turbo and in Cloud that will help you with this, and also how to use Google Sheets. We've got a new integration with Google Sheets, so you can automatically record LinkedIn profile data and pull that into a Google Sheet. So we'll be having a look at that next time. So if data is your bag and you want to know how to get more, how to use it better, then join me again on the 23rd of October. Sorry, I've just changed the date there on the fly. A reminder as well in terms of our support services, Scott, who's our head of sales, and our head of professional services, Giles, who was on the session very briefly at the beginning, are always available, as are our support team. So if you need a quick call with the support team, then you can do that, and that's free. But if you want a little bit more technical guidance from a kind of second line support or expert Dux-Soup LinkedIn guru, then Scott and Giles are your guys, and they're available via booster sessions and booster packs. So if you go onto our services pages, you'll be able to book yourself in for that. And I also want to remind you all that we love a good review. And what has come to light recently is that there are so many people who use Dux-Soup and love using it, and yet we never hear from you. And eventually one of us will chat to someone and they'll go, oh, I love your product. It's been amazing. I've been using it for years. And we say, come on, why don't you tell us? Because like Ben has a great story. He's got some great insights to share. And it's really good for our users to hear from other users rather than just hear me droning on all the time. So please do, if you have a story to tell, please come and tell it. You don't have to come on a webinar to do that. We can have a chat with you one-to-one and use some of your content for a case study or an article. So please get in touch, because we would love to hear from you. And I've done it again, look, I've confused the dates for the webinar. Let me just double check when it is supposed to be. So I'm not confusing everybody further. And I make sure that I update that properly in the system. What date will it be? What date will it be? It's definitely going to be Tuesday, the 21st of October at the same time. So I'll make sure that I update the material that I confused everyone on. And I think I'm going to have to cut it there, I'm afraid. We still have some questions, but I will go through those that are relevant afterwards. Don't forget that we do have the on-demand version will be available to you shortly, and you will be able to see all of Ben's slides within that session. So a lot of the questions that we're still getting at are actually covered in the slide material. So don't forget to watch that back when you can do. Ben, Matt, thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for waiting, Matt, and Ben, thanks for your input and all of your shared content and your thoughts and answering all those questions as well. There's still more to come, but I'll let you know if I need any help with any of them. And thanks for the audience. Thank you. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
Bye.